Hey, don't say I told you so, but yeah, okay. Some of you did. Welcome to 10-Minute Tech Tips, an HCTC podcast of mostly opinionated commentary with hopefully some actual helpful tidbits tossed in. I'm your host, Kerry Sutton, and most of these opinions and experiences are my own. Back in March, as the COVID-19 virus hit the Texas Hill Country, we had to shut down our Lunch and Learn program. We started podcasting as a way to still connect with as many people as possible. At the end of the podcast, I'll give you an email address where you can ask questions or send ideas for future shows. I encourage you to reach out to us if you'd like. Okay, so what am I talking about? Well, 4 or 5 years ago, I purchased a Google Nest thermostat for my house. You see, I really like the smart home technology, being able to pull your cell phone out, which is nowadays is almost always next to you anywhere you are, or at least for me it is. And I have two of them, no less. I'll pull this thing out. I can change the thermostat in my house, anytime, any place. I can turn the lights off or on. There's just all kind of things that I can do simply from my cell phone. And I have dogs at the house. I just have stuff that I need to take care of. And at the time, I was away a lot. I would travel or I would be at different offices for the phone company. And I needed to have control of my house. The biggest thing for me was the temperature. I don't like coming home, on an August afternoon and it be 85 degrees in the house, knowing that it's going to take till 3 a.m. to cool the house down. So with that Nest thermostat, you pull your phone out, turn the thermostat down, and it cools off while you're still away from the house. And then when you get home, it feels good. That's the way I like it. Plus, the air conditioner doesn't have to run all day long while you're gone. So my electric bill was just really dropped to almost nothing, and I could still keep the house comfortable. Okay, so when I said people would say, they're saying I told you so. Well, people would ask me, why do you want Google to know what your temperature is in your house? Because they're going to take over and they're going to change your temperature in your house. I'm like, look, I promise you, Google has no interest at all in what the temperature is in my house in Kerrville, Texas. And they don't have any reason or need or desire to mess with my thermostat. It's just they don't. They've got a lot of. If you read the news, Google is busy. Google has a lot of things going on. They don't care about my house. Well, now with the COVID thing, we're all working from home. Well, sometime May or June, I noticed the house in the day was just getting warmer. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on. There's nothing wrong with my air conditioner. I know it's just been recently serviced. Everything's fine. So I walked up to my thermostat, and when I did, there was a yellow icon. It kind of looked like one of those settings, a little yellow wheel with the cogs in it. So I knew that was either a problem or that was something I was not familiar with. Well, I clicked on it. As soon as I did, it said, "Welcome to the seasonal settings." I think that they call it, seasonal savings is what Nest calls that. Seasonal saving. Of course, savings always sounds good, but when you're talking about your air conditioner, savings means you're turning the air conditioner off. Well, the hair in the back of my neck stood up, and I thought, okay, this is not what I had bargained for. So I went to the internet, started looking around, and sure enough, it's a program called Seasonal Savings that Google Nest has, and they've had it for years. This is just the first year that I have experienced it. And what it does, it says, look, we're here to help you save money, and thank you for that. But they move the thermostat up by several degrees. In my case, it was 3 or 4 degrees. It was enough that you noticed it was hot in the house. And maybe I'm just a wimp, but I like it cold in the house. So when it gets up 75 degrees or so, I'm hot. And sure enough, that's where it was. So, but they pitch this is that we will help you adjust your thermostat in the summer. I've also read they'll do this in the wintertime too, but the cold doesn't really bother me as much as the heat does. So I started reading about this, and then I immediately went to disable it because I have the phone programmed, or I have the thermostat programmed on my phone. And so I want it where I want it now that I'm working. Someone's here at the house working almost 24/7 now. So the house needs to always stay comfortable temperature. But I got to thinking at all those people most of my friends at my office that are all in the tech stuff as well too. And when I told them I was buying a Google thermostat, they all kind of snickered and said, I wouldn't do that if I was you, because you're going to give them access to your house. And once again, I didn't think anything of it. However, I did know that the thermostat is connected through my local Wi-Fi at my house, and I have an email to access it. But it goes to a Google server, and then every month they'd send me a report that shows how much electricity I'm using. So they know how much electricity. They know how much with the settings on the thermostat, how many hours the thermostat runs. I think that's how it is, how many hours. So being that thermostat is connected to them, then they obviously can come back and turn that thermostat off. So, I still love my Google Nest thermostat. It's a probably generation 1 or 2. And I think probably they're now generations 3 or 4. So the newer screens are bigger. They're prettier. Mine's a pretty basic one, but it still looks like the old round thermostats they used to have on the wall. And I just liked it. I love the design. The company was started by a couple of guys from Apple, so design is certainly is to my taste. Not everybody will agree with Apple design. I'm not here to argue about that, but I like Apple design products, and this product was designed by some of those guys from Apple, and to me, it looks fantastic. So anyway, I'm here to tell you that yes, you guys told me that this might happen, and it did. And I'm still going to continue with it. I'm still going to keep my Google Nest thermostat, and I'm going to continue on down the road with it until it breaks, and then I'll buy something else. But I do need to come clean and say, you guys told me this might happen, and it sure did. Do I still think it's a good product? I do. If you want control over your thermostat in your house, I do think this is a good product. It's one of the highest in cost. There are others that are out there that may not be as expensive as this is. So I can do another podcast on thermostats if anybody wants. Send me an email. I'll give you the email address at the end. But tell me, hey, talk about thermostats. That's something that we would like. Maybe now that everybody's working from home, maybe it's not a big deal as it was when people were leaving to go to the office. But if you have a cabin, hunting cabin or something out in the country, and you have internet access, hopefully HCTC. If you have our service, then if you're driving in from Houston or San Antonio somewhere, you can turn the heat on if it's hunting season, or the air conditioning on if you're here in the summer. You can do that remotely, so it's running and ready when you get there. So hear me out. I love my Google Nest, but yeah, they do have access to it, and they are messing with my air conditioner, and I'm been working hard to cut those strings, if you will. But just one of those things. That's kind of where we are going in our day and time. I'm not advocating one way or the other, but for now, it's okay. But you guys did tell me to watch out for it. So with that, I want to say thank you for listening to our podcast today. Just to remind you that our lawyers want you to know that this podcast may not be copied or reproduced in whole or in part in any way without the express written permission of HCTC. And if you would like to send us questions, comments, or whatever, send it to podcast at hctc.net. And that comes directly to me, and we will take a look at that and respond back to you, or say thanks for your questions. Or if you'd like to do an interview, we can set up interviews as well too. So podcast at hctc.net. We appreciate that. And thank you so much for joining us today.